Okay, here we go with the swans reeling the liars in.
Reeling the liars in. We are reeling the liars in. We are removing their face, collecting their skin. We are reeling the liars in. We are burning them in a pile. We are burning them in a pile. The only true thing, the place to begin, is to burn up the liar pile. Now the sun will hide beneath the ridge tonight. Clear flames of revenge will lick the black sky. And I will sing as you eat their tongues. For I'm the saint who will lead them to us. So I'm reeling the liars in, reeling the liars in. Here is my hand, now drive the nail in. I am reeling the liars in. Here is my tongue, now cut out my sin. We are reeling the liars in. There's only one way, one place to begin, by reeling this liar in.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, the swans.
The swans reeling the liars in.
Mm-hmm. Reel them in.
Yeah. And I guess
Need
they
to do
took their faces off and put them in a pile and burnt them all. Kind of strong language. I hope they didn't get any government funding.
No,
some
crap,
liars
I hope
might
not
take
either.
some offense to that. Have to apologize
you
to
know-
other liars that have been fighting for our rights or something.
Yeah. You know, maybe we'll just have to go and round up Woody Guthrie and have a good old-fashioned, I don't know, cross burning in his front yard or something. That just seems right.
Yeah. It's never too late for a witch hunt. It's 12:08. It's not too late.
It's not too late, for sure. You know who else we could witch hunt?
Who?
The Iranians. There's Iranians in Canada, Tony, and they have bank accounts here. Some of them are
our defenses
Canadian
our defenses in the Straits of Hormuz are not working apparently.
No, we need to freeze their accounts.
They're on our soil.
Yes, and there should be no questioning it. There will be no art funding for the questioning of the freezing of Iranian bank accounts in Canada.
Well, do tell, Mike. What's
None at
going on
all.
with-
I was just about to apply for art funding for this radio program that I do. And then I realized, fuck! I went and talked about the fact that banks in Canada are freezing the funds of Iranian Canadians, whether or not they have
It
any
seems to me like you're
economic
encouraging
connection.
Iranians to have bank accounts.
Oh, well, we know people who have bank accounts are... Oh, wait a second. They're normal. Wait, that's what we want them to have. They're not at some seedy credit union?
Okay, so
I mean,
was there a reason that the TD Bank said that they were doing this, or what happened there?
Yeah, and as far as I understand, it's kind of been downplayed where it's like, well, they are just listening to what the government tells them to do. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so wait, it's not TD Bank that froze their accounts, it's the fucking government. I mean, holy crap.
Right.
That can you feel, if you want to feel like a second-class citizen, all you have to do is be an Iranian Canadian with a bank account, apparently.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy. Okay, apparently I'm just reading up on it here on the CBC, and TD Bank began sending letters to some of its clients in May informing them that it would no longer be offering them banking services so as to abide with changes made last November to the Special Economic Measures regulations, which prohibit banks from providing financial services that benefit Iran or anyone in Iran. So I guess people receiving letters that stated, a recent review has identified you as a person TD is restricted from providing financial services to, from, or for the benefit of under these new regulations. Yeah.
Right.
As a result, we are informing you that TD will no longer continue to support your current accounts and or services. Okay. Blah, 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 blah.
Essentially, though, what it does come down to, the TD Bank doesn't do these things on its own.
Right.
This is being done because the Canadian government has said, and I'm sure that we'll find out sooner than later that it's not just TD Bank. If TD Bank is freezing Iranian bank accounts in Canada, then chances are other banks will soon follow freezing Iranian Canadian bank accounts.
Right. It wasn't their decision.
That's right. It's not their choice. They don't sit around. Hey, I think we should get rid of all of our Iranian customers. I mean, they want to do business, right? That's what they do. They keep people's money, they loan money. If those Iranian Canadians are business people in Canada, and I'm sure that some of them are, and that's why their accounts are being frozen, because from what I understand, there are certain rules about how there's like ways that it applies as far as what benefits the Iranian economy and how much money there. Apparently, it's up to $40,000 from what I understand can flow between Iranian businesses and Canadian businesses without it being a question. But apparently, some people who have absolutely no business ties with anybody in Iran that are Iranian Canadians are having or are under this minimum are having their bank accounts questioned. That's what I understood.
So they made a list and then they screwed it up and then they closed people's accounts that probably weren't aiding and abetting Iran.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, some of it could be a bureaucratic issue at this point because, I mean...
Well, look at the no-fly list, you know what I mean? They get 6-month-old babies on that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. My name is Mike Cook, and how many Mike Cooks are there out there?
There's probably like 30 Mike Cooks on the no-fly list.
Yeah, damn it! Yeah, and I mean the same with Islamic names, right? You're gonna run into a lot of Mohammeds. You're gonna run into
and very often don't use middle names. So I mean, there's a lot of repeat names. So I could see if you're gonna have if you're justified in having a list, you have to be real careful with the list. You know what I mean? Maybe you might not just want to, I don't know. Maybe you just have to be more careful with it. Because there's duplicate names in it.
The one thing I'm going to tell you, Tony, is that the government needs to tighten its belt and not really employ as much people that are dealing with this because, that's expensive. I mean, isn't that kind of the whole perspective of?
Yeah, they got this list made on the cheap.
No, cut all those people.
Yeah.
We don't need people who are going to be making informed decisions, like bureaucrats that actually make the government run. They're unelected. It's undemocratic. It's like these people are the gray mass in government. I mean, they're there for a reason. They have jobs and they fulfill their tasks on a daily basis.
Well, maybe they got this no banking list made up on the cheap by some non-unionized workers.
You never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
Maybe they had some foreign workers making 15% less than non-unionized workers that perhaps didn't understand the language very good.
Well, hey, the Conservatives, they've got out legislation out there where it's going to be harder to employ immigrant workers, and that they're going to try to force Canadians into different low-paying jobs. So before you go hiring foreign workers at a lower wage, make sure you check to see if a Canadian wants that job first.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, you know what else has been burning my ass, Tony?
What's burning your ass, dude? What's burning your ass, Mike?
Oh, okay, so I've been thinking about that rapper from Quebec and how he put out a song that showed a different perspective about a war, And then at the same time, what's happening right now? Our government, the Canadian government, the Harper government, just pledged $227 million in aid to Afghanistan. Now, why is that something that maybe should be questioned more than $100,000 given to a rapper by the same government? Well, the reason why is because Hamid Karzai, we know who he is. He's a former oil man and CIA contract agent. I mean, we know this. It's the most corrupt government on the face of the earth. But we just gave them $227 million. And of course, everyone's going to pretend, the Americans are pulling out, the British already pulled out, the Canadians are just doing a training mission. We're all going to pretend that everything we did great. Everybody clap, and we did great in Afghanistan.
Yeah, when you say training mission, do you mean that Canadians are training some Afghanis to fight other Afghanis and kill them?
Yeah, that's called a civil war.
Yeah,
we're starting a civil war in Afghanistan.
We're training people on one side of a civil war.
Or maybe not sustaining a civil war.
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of different competing interests that have weapons in Afghanistan. The Hamid Karzai and his government can't leave their compound. Basically, they have a sphere of influence that is about 3 city blocks wide.
Exactly.
Know what I mean?
Yeah. Afghanistan, as far as the Western political model goes, is a very small piece of Kabul.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the reality of the situation. This is what that French rapper was talking about. That Afghanis are seeing they see the world vastly different than somebody from Quebec or Iowa or California.
I have to be really careful about how I express this, but do you know, first of all, everybody knows this has been said many times on this show that I'm absolutely against war and violence in any way, shape, or form. I don't mind a couple of dudes scrapping it out outside the bar or whatever, or the UFC, that kind of violence I don't care about. Two consenting adults fighting because they enjoy it, or
I may not watch it,
or pissed off at each other. You know what I mean? That's the only kind of violence that I have any appreciation for. I don't think war is ever the answer. It never has been the answer. There has never been a just war. I really hope all of our Canadian troops come home so that their bodies and minds can stop being ruined. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'd like to see them all come home. Now, for this rapper, and I've got to say this again, for this rapper to identify the fact that some Afghanis are very upset that their country is being occupied by NATO countries, I don't see that as anything more than an observation that has its foundation in fact. Do you know what I mean?
Where would Sun Media be if Canada was the country that had foreign troops on its soil? And let's, I know that it would be a totally fictional world, and people would say, yeah, but it's like, they're actually not going to, who's going to invade Canada? Who's going to invade America? No one can. And it's like, but the point is that if there were foreign troops in Canada, even if they were American, I mean, I know that would split a bunch of hairs, but it's still an occupation. And people, when they actually experience an occupation, the reality that they feel is a lot different than what you get fed by media stories about someone else being occupied.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest way to say it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think we've covered this subject, and I think that we're both in agreement that this is very dangerous for a government to be controlling the message of artists in this way. Dangling the grant money and then making sure that they can say certain things and not say certain things. And of course, we've definitely dissected the message from Out of the Man Cave there, which certainly misrepresented the message of that rapper.